There is a lie that has been whispered into the ear of every generation, gaining volume with every century until it has become a deafening roar in the modern world. The lie is simple. Freedom is a product of accumulation. We are taught that the more we acquire, the safer we become. We believe that a fortress of assets, a vault of currency, and a kingdom of influence are the only barriers standing between us and the abyss of suffering. But there is a terrifying paradox hidden in the ledgers of history. If you look closely at the men who owned the world, you often find prisoners. And if you look into the gutter at the men who owned nothing, you sometimes find the only souls who were truly free. What happens when we strip away the noise of the market and place two lives on the scale of human existence? On one side, we have the apex of the modern dream, the $1 million lifestyle, represented by Julian, a composite of the modern high-performance executive, the architect of the digital age. On the other side, we have the $1 lifestyle, represented by Diogenes of Sinope, the ancient philosopher who lived in a ceramic jar and owned nothing but the breath in his lungs. This is not a story about poverty versus wealth. This is a forensic analysis of the human mind under the pressure of two extreme atmospheres. It is a study of who truly sleeps soundly when the lights go out. Let us introduce Julian. He is the man you aspire to be. He's 38 years old, lives in a penthouse that overlooks the skyline of Manhattan or perhaps Singapore, and his time is valued at thousands of dollars per hour. He is not a lottery winner. He is a conqueror. He has optimized his biology, his finances, and his social circle. He wakes at 4 a.m., not because he has to, but because the discipline of the morning grants him a head start on a world that wants to take what he has. His life is a masterpiece of curation. Every calorie is counted, every meeting is leveraged, and every notification on his phone represents a decision that could shift markets. He has achieved the safety that civilization promised him. He has the resources to endure any storm. Or so he thinks. Contrast him with Diogenes, a man who walked the streets of Athens in the 4th century BC. Diogenes was not a victim of circumstance. He was a volunteer in the army of nothingness. He was an exile who arrived in Athens with a mindset that terrified the comfortable elite. While Julian surrounds himself with walls of glass and steel, Diogenes lived in a discarded clay wine tub in the marketplace. While Julian checks his portfolio to ensure his future is secure, Diogenes threw away his only possession, a wooden bowl, because he saw a peasant boy drinking water from his cupped hands and realized the bowl was an unnecessary luxury. One man builds a complex infrastructure to sustain his life. The other systematically destroys the infrastructure to find his life. The struggle for Julian is invisible, silent, and relentless. It is the struggle of maintenance. To possess a $1 million lifestyle is to sign a contract with complexity. Julian is the master of his domain, but he is also its janitor. The more he acquires, the more he must defend. His psychology is dominated by the fear of loss. The luxury car requires maintenance. The investment portfolio requires monitoring. The public image requires curation. His mind is a browser with 1,000 tabs open, and none of them can be closed. He suffers from the thoroughly modern disease of decision fatigue. Every choice he makes is a high-stakes gamble, and the stress of maintaining his position creates a subtle, vibrating anxiety that no amount of biohacking can cure. He is wealthy, yes, but he is brittle. If the market crashes, if his reputation wavers, if the grid goes down, his identity fractures. Diogenes faced a struggle that was visceral and physical, yet his mind remained unburdened. He struggled against the cold of winter and the heat of summer. He struggled against the hunger in his belly and the ridicule of the Athenian citizens who called him a dog. But Diogenes weaponized his struggle. He did not view discomfort as a failure of planning. He viewed it as a training ground for the soul. When asked why he begged for money from statues, he replied that he was practicing the art of being rejected. He was conditioning his mind to be impervious to the opinions of others. While Julian spends his energy trying to control the external world to suit his preferences, Diogenes spent his energy killing his preferences so that the external world could not hurt him. The difference in their mindset is the difference between a fortress and the wind. Julian's mindset is additive. He believes that the solution to any problem is more. If he feels insecure, he buys more security. If he feels lonely, he acquires more connections. If he feels unheard, he buys a microphone. His psychology is driven by the dopamine loop of acquisition. He is running on a hedonic treadmill where the view never changes, but the speed keeps increasing. He has convinced himself that he is free because he has options, but he is paralyzed by the paradox of choice. He is a slave to his own ambition, forever chasing a horizon that recedes as he approaches it. Diogenes possessed a subtractive mindset. He looked at the chaos of civilization, the politics, the wars, the greed, and he laughed. He realized that the man who needs nothing is the equal of the gods. His discipline was not the discipline of labor, but the discipline of renunciation. It takes a terrifying amount of willpower to say no to comfort when it is offered. It takes a warrior's spirit to sleep on the cold ground when a bed is available. Diogenes understood that every possession is a rope that ties you to the earth. By cutting the ropes, he floated above the anxieties that plagued the kings and merchants of his time. He did not seek to change the world, he sought to become untouchable by it. Consider the nature of their sacrifices. Julian sacrifices the present moment for a future that is not guaranteed. He sacrifices his peace of mind for the accumulation of status. He works 80 hours a week to afford a home he rarely sleeps in and a family he rarely sees. He tells himself it is for them, but deep down it is for the hunger within him that can never be satiated. He endures the stress of the boardroom, the artificiality of networking events, and the constant pressure to outperform his previous self. He pays for his wealth with pieces of his life, trading hours of consciousness for digits in a bank account. Diogenes sacrificed his reputation. He sacrificed the comfort of a roof and the certainty of a next meal, but in exchange he gained total sovereignty. There is a famous story that illustrates the magnitude of this power. Alexander the Great, the most powerful man in the known world, a man who lived the ultimate million-dollar lifestyle, came to visit Diogenes. Alexander found the philosopher sunbathing in the dust. The emperor, casting a long shadow over the beggar, asked, "I am Alexander the Great. Ask of me anything you desire, and I shall grant it." It was the ultimate offer of wealth. Julian would have asked for a merger, a tax break, or a seat at the table. Diogenes simply squinted, looked up at the conqueror, and said, "Stand a little out of my sun." In that moment, the hierarchy of the world was inverted. The man with everything realized he had nothing that the man with nothing wanted. Alexander reportedly walked away and told his generals, "If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." Why? Because Alexander knew that his power was contingent on his armies, his gold, and his conquests. If you took those away, Alexander was just a man, but Diogenes was self-sufficient. You could take away his tub, his staff, and his clothes, but you could not take away his contentment. Julian is Alexander. He has the power, but he carries the weight of the world. Diogenes is the empty hand that cannot be handcuffed. The outcome of these two lifestyles is written in the legacy they leave behind. Julian leaves a trust fund. He leaves buildings with his name on them, companies that will eventually be sold and stripped for parts, and a lineage of children who may be paralyzed by the very wealth he accumulated for them. His legacy is material, and therefore it is temporary. Matter decays, fortunes are squandered. The memory of the rich man fades as soon as the money stops flowing. His life was a brilliant flash of consumption, a burning star that consumed everything in its orbit and then vanished into the dark. Diogenes left no money, he left no children, he wrote no books, and yet 2,000 years later we are still speaking his name. He left a philosophy that challenges the very core of human vanity. He taught us that the only true wealth is the autonomy of the mind. His legacy is the enduring truth that you cannot break a man who wants nothing. He showed us that the walls we build to protect ourselves are actually the walls of our prison. The outcome of the $1 lifestyle was a life of absolute authenticity. He lived exactly as he believed, without compromise, without mask, and without fear. What does this mean for you living in the 21st century? You are not expected to sell your house and live in a ceramic tub. You are not expected to throw away your phone and beg in the streets. That is not the lesson. The lesson is about the center of gravity in your life. We are all living in Julian's world. We are bombarded by the gospel of more. We are told that our worth is tied to our net worth, that our happiness is waiting for us in the next purchase, the next promotion, the next tier of luxury. We are running ourselves into the ground to maintain lifestyles that do not serve us, buying things we don't need to impress people we don't like. But you must cultivate an inner Diogenes. You must find that part of your soul that is immune to the fluctuation of the stock market and the validation of social media. You must understand that true discipline is not just the ability to work hard for a reward, it is the ability to be content without the reward. If your happiness depends on your bank account being full, you are a slave to the economy. If your confidence depends on the luxury of your clothes, you are a slave to fashion. But if you can stand in the sun, breathe the air, and feel a sense of completeness without needing to purchase it, then you are free. The ultimate flex is not having $1 million. The ultimate flex is needing so little that $1 million couldn't improve your state of mind. It is about reaching a point of psychological invincibility where the world has nothing to offer you that you cannot generate from within. Julian has the power to buy, but Diogenes had the power to be. So, as you walk through the noise of the modern world, ask yourself, are you building a fortress or are you building a cage? Are you working to purchase freedom or are you sacrificing your freedom to purchase things? The man with the $1 million lifestyle sleeps with one eye open, guarding his treasure. The man with the $1 lifestyle sleeps deeply, for he knows that the only treasure worth having is the one that cannot be stolen. The choice is not about what is in your wallet, it is about who is in control of your mind. Stand out of your own sun.